Stand for the pledge, please. Face this way. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. This is Monday, January 22nd. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, business with us, come up to that microphone, give us your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Cedar.
Here.
Councilmember Fowler.
Here.
Councilmember Koupa.
Here.
Councilmember Laporte.
Here.
Councilmember Paul.
Present.
Councilmember Bull.
Here.
Councilmember Watt.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Number 4 is a consent agenda. City Council minutes of January 8, 2023, special, regular, and closed meetings. Recommendation approved. And the St. Clair Housing Commission minutes of December 12, 2023, meeting recommendation received.
Motion to approve A and B is presented.
Support.
Motion made. For questions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have a presentation tonight. Mark Parsley from Fishback is here to talk about our water treatment plant improvement project. Hey, Mark.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. You guys hear me right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm here. I'm Mark Parsley. I'm at Fishbeck, just to give you guys an update on some of the water treatment, water distribution projects, the two big ones mainly that you guys have going on. And I've met some of you. There's some new ones. And just to give kind of a background on me, so I'm a senior water engineer at Fishbeck, and I started working with the city maybe in 2019, 2020, somewhere in there. When you guys had received kind of an audit from the state, from Eagle, identifying some issues and recommendations at the treatment plant, and that started a treatment plant study, which I led. And then out of that study, we rolled into this water treatment plant project, this improvement project. Included in that was the state revolving loan application, where we were able to successfully get, a $3 million grant, and then the rest of the project costs covered with a low interest loan from the state. And I've been involved in all of those. So through the design of that water treatment, and then now I'm leading kind of the administration of the construction side of that project. And then this new project, the LDFA Water Distribution Improvements Project, the elevated tank and pump station, we're currently in the design of that. And I'm leading the team at Fishbeck on that design. So that was the point of me to come in today, is just giving you guys an update on where we're at with both of those projects, answer any questions you guys might have. So I put together just a short little PowerPoint presentation here, just to kind of give you guys a background on, I don't know, that maybe there's some new members here that I'm sure you're up to speed, but just to kind of recap where we're at. So the water treatment plant and water main improvements project, so that was a state revolving fund 2023 project, again, where we went out for that low interest loan and grant, received that, got on that list, and then commenced into the design of that. And that's been bid, that went out to bid, believe it or not, last June. And because of how this loan is facilitated, it takes a really long time to get the loan to close from the state. And so we have an executed contract with the contractor, Weiss Construction. I have another slide on that here in a second, in September. And we've been working through some front end things with them. Mainly there was, we had a single bidder, high bids. We had to reduce some scope of the project, and working with the state, because the state has the funds. So kind of getting all through that and where we're at now. And we're starting to see shop drawings and submittals, and the contractors purchasing equipment. But just to recap that project, so the majority of the project is located at the water treatment plant. A lot of necessary upgrades. It's been a while since that plant has seen any significant equipment replacement, upgrades, that type of thing. So it's getting harder and harder to maintain that equipment. So this project addresses a lot of that. It increases your guys' capacity, which was downgraded as part of that Eagle audit, back in 2020. And that's good because you guys are a growing community and need that additional capacity. The project also hits the shore well pumping station, which brings raw water in from the river, pumps it to the water treatment plant. Again, just a lot of outdated equipment. There's some issues out there with storage of chemical and fuel for standby power. This project addresses all of that, removes any potential contamination risk of your source water, puts an addition on the building to pull any chemical and fuel storage out of that main building and into a spot where it can be contained if there's any sort of spill. But it eliminates the diesel totally out of that station, any of the diesel storage. So it kind of eliminates any potential for contamination in the source water, which is a good thing. And then we added some water main on the north side of the system to this project. One, because it gave us a lot more points as part of that loan application for the state. And two, it really gives you guys a lot more reliability to some of those high users in the industrial park. So any potential water main break or anything, right now a single water main serves them. And this is kind of phase one, phase two being the pump station project that will give them better performance out of the system up there, increases the pressure a little bit, but also in case there's any water main break, they won't lose water for that extended period of time if there is a break. All right. So just the status on where we're at with that project. Again, it was awarded to Weiss Construction. They were single bidder on the project. Some of that due to just kind of, I mean, you guys are familiar with inflation and labor and all of that, and just not getting great bids on a lot of these projects. And that was a common theme all over the state. And we did a lot of these projects, these SRF projects on this last round, and single bidders was very common on all of those projects. So right now the project is currently in the submittal phase, and what that means is the contractor is submitting to us equipment packages. We're reviewing them across the specifications, making sure they fit to what was designed, and approving or denying those, and just working with them to get all of that ordered, and try to hit lead times, and get in line for that equipment so that it doesn't extend the project past the estimated completion date, which is May of 2025. So actual construction is expected to mobilize to the site in March of this year. So the next month and a half, you'll start to see activity at the site. Weiss will move in their construction trailer, equipment, that type of thing. You'll start to see laborers out there working in the plant. And at that same time, Fishbeck, so we're tasked with full-time inspection for the project. So we'll have a person here every single day that Weiss is here. We'll be inspecting to make sure that everything constructed is per the plans and specs. And then that person is a direct link to me in the office and our project team. There's 15 engineers that worked on this project, and he'll be making sure any questions that come up in the field are answered directly from our office. And I'll also be here from time to time for project progress meetings. Anything that comes up in the field, critical tie-ins that require plant shutdowns, we'll have support for that and make sure that Weiss is in line with what's required in the spec. Any questions on that project before I move on to this next one?
And one.
Yeah.
So when we went through all that loan stuff and
Yeah.
we're on the list and we moved down the list and they were putting us in different places. Is there any chance going forward that we would be advantageous for us to resubmit any kind of?
No, that's a good question. So we have been doing that with the state just automatically as this loan gets kind of replenished. Now, that last round, the one where you guys were in, there was an influx of federal dollars. So there was a lot of grant money and a lot of loan money that the state was offering. So it was super competitive. It's still pretty competitive right now, but there's an ITA, it's called, intent to apply for future loans. And probably what you're referring to is how do we pick up the scope that we had to reduce, and we're doing that. And we just submitted that ITA, I think last week. We worked with Quentin, submitted that ITA to try to get back on the list. Again, it's very competitive, and there's things that the state looks for specifically for scoring. That water main, when we added that water main, the first time we actually didn't make it. The first time we applied in 21, I think it was 21. And then we added the water main, and that shot us way up the list into the fundable range, and that's what happened on that second time. So the state looks for different things that give you extra points. So, we track that. We have a person internally that is tracking all of how the state scores everything, and we can kind of give a good estimate on where you guys would score and how we can add things. So we're continually doing that. We've done that for the past couple rounds to try to get St. Clair back on that list. I think it's just a really competitive environment because all these cities are applying for that low interest loan. So yeah, we'll continue to work with Quentin every time that comes up. If the state responds to our ITA in a favorable manner and we score well, then we'll work down that route to see if we can't get back on the list. Any other questions?
So both the water treatment plant and water main improvements begin in March? Are they done chronologically, one before the other?
Yeah, so there's some criteria that we have in the spec, and you guys have to make water the entire time this project's going on. So there's a lot of constraints that Weiss has to follow to make sure that you guys aren't offline. It's kind of a hassle to get water from somewhere else if we have to shut the plant down. So a lot of it depends on equipment procurement. You know, if we've seen contractors tell us 36 weeks for ductile iron pipe, and there's contractors that have been stockpiling it, and they can start like the next week after they mobilize to the site. So it just depends on who Weiss has subbing out that work, if they have the pipe already. My guess is that water main will be completed first, just because of the equipment. And really what's holding up a lot of jobs right now is electrical equipment. So part of the water treatment and the Shorewell site are getting a full electrical replacement, because a lot of that equipment's really old and kind of scary to stand by. So that might drive kind of when they work at different sites. So a lot of that, they're still working on a real detailed construction schedule on, because you know they're now talking with those suppliers, so they're able to kind of develop a detailed construction schedule. And when that stuff comes in, we'll share it with the plant and Quentin, and then you guys can see kind of where Weiss thinks that stuff's going to shake out, depending on when equipment comes in.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? All right, so the next project, this one's still in design. We're currently kind of midway through the design process on this one. And this is the LDFA water system improvements, and it's improvements kind of on that north industrial side of the city. And that creates a new pressure district. A lot of that's a higher elevation, and it's kind of at the outskirts. So the pressure out there has been historically low. And when it's been if it serves residential, it's not so low on a residential basis. But when you get into an industrial kind of complex and they use more water, there are some issues with fire flow and those types of things. So this project addresses those, and it consists of kind of a similar deal. We have 3 kind of separate projects within a larger project. That's the booster pump station that is just north of the EPC facility. There's a slice of land that you guys have procured or acquired or are acquiring that the pump station will be constructed on. It has kind of phase 2 of that water main loop, and that gives full redundancy all the way up to the Magna complex. So any water main break from after that's constructed from here to there, you'd be able to isolate that section and continue to serve water in that event. So it really provides a lot of reliability in that area, and provides a little bit higher pressure because it reduces the friction that goes that way. And then finally, there's an elevated tank that's going on that site, a 500,000 gallon composite tank. I'll kind of show you what that looks like here in a second. So the schedule on this one, we started in August of 23. It got a little bit of a slow start because acquiring the property took a little bit longer. So that happened in October of 23, and we were able to finally get on site and do soil moorings, site survey, and then it's kind of been like warp speed in our office to try to get this one done within the original schedule. So currently, we've completed preliminary design, and that's where we size everything, lay the pump station out, size the tank, those types of things. That was submitted. There was a basic design report as well as initial drawings to go along with that. And right now in the current phase is we call it 60% design. So what we do is we have these milestones. Actually, we're printing that tomorrow, and we'll send that to the city for comments, and that's kind of getting into the details now. So we're trying to select brick color, roof color, you know, whether or not there's a generator enclosure, some of those like finer details, and we'll work with the guys at the plant and Quentin on selecting those. You know, we'll make some recommendations, and they're really good at getting back to participating in that design phase. So that prints tomorrow. Then we'll continue to move to meet the date of April 30th, where this goes out to bid. So we'll advertise there, take bids sometime end of May, early June, and then anticipate construction to begin June of 24. And this one will be, we don't anticipate it being similar to the treatment plant where the contractor wins it and doesn't mobilize for 6 months. They'll try to get right on top of it on this project, especially with the water main. And so our estimated, what we think construction would be complete, is that they would complete the water main this fall of 24. This pump station would go online spring of 24, and then the elevated tank would be last somewhere end of summer, early fall of 25. And the reason for the elevated tank taking so long is they have to paint it in the summer for having that it has to be hot and have higher temperature for the paint to cure. So they'll do that over the summer, and then that'll be the last item that goes online. All right.
So, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yep.
So if I'm looking at this right, help me if I'm not, but, so, we'll go back to that other slide, will you,
Oh.
please?
The map here.
Yeah, keep me right there, because the bottom left, where estimated construction.
Oh, yep.
So I think I heard you say that the water plant projection date is May of 25?
Yep, and this is a typo. I can already tell you that you caught me there.
Yeah, that's a 5.
That should be a 5.
Yeah.
Yep. Spring of 25.
Okay.
Yep.
So the goal is, and it looks like you're trying to have the water plant done before just before the tank goes up.
Yep. So we think the pump station and water plant will be completed in a similar time frame. So that's late spring, early summer. They'll be punching out in 25, and both of those will be online. And then that tank, what you'll see, and this is a composite tank. So this is what we have designed for St. Clair, and you probably have seen this style of tank around. It's not what you guys currently have at the water plant. You guys have an all metal tank. And what makes these so appealing now is they're very more cost efficient to maintain, because the only part you have to paint every 15 years is this top part. You don't have to paint the pedestal. It's all concrete. So it used to be that these tanks were only cost effective when they were like 1.5 million gallons or larger, but now almost all of the tank manufacturers it's cheaper for them to build these. So 500,000 or lower, which you guys are at 500,000 gallons. This is the capital cost. This is actually cheaper than the all metal tanks now, and then it'll be much more cheaper to maintain over the life of the tank. But what you'll see, and what I was getting at there, is they may construct this concrete portion right away, and then you'll just see a silo sitting there for a handful of months while they're building these metal sheets down in there. There's a factory in Texas and one in Alabama, and they'll go and they'll fabricate all those sheets, get them to site, and while this thing is kind of just sitting here, because there's a crew that goes around and just builds the pedestal. So in this one, you might have they might finish that. Let's say not too long after the pump station's constructed, you'll just have a kind of a metal or a concrete pedestal sitting there for 2 or 3 months while they're finishing up this the steel shell, and then they'll transport that to site, lift it into place, tack weld it all together, and finish it up and paint it. So just some project highlights. 500,000 gallon composite style tank is what we're planning. So again, the water main allows for a full redundancy to the industrial park. So it's a lot more reliable for your customers up there. And then the boosters pump station increases the pressures 30 to 40 PSI in that area, which gets them, like right now it's like 30, 35 PSI, and what they need is 65 to 70 PSI. So the booster pump station does that. And then both of these facilities are monitored and operated completely remote from the water treatment plant. So it's not something that you have to man a person out there and has to sit out there all the time. That'll be There'll be some minor maintenance and operations thing that a person will have to drive up there every once in a while, but it's these are unmanned stations that are operated from your guys at the plant, from the operators. Any questions on that or anything else
I'm
related to
assuming this,
this?
but if I don't answer, then just let me say, why didn't you ask them? But those pump stations, I have like security, or like if the pump fails.
Yeah, yep, yeah. So there's all sorts of monitoring out there. So what will happen is all of the electrical equipment, the pumps, if anything fails to operate or open, you'll get an alarm immediately at the plant. And then there's fail safes, and it's kind of hard to see, it's little here, but there's some valving over here that if these ever fail, this will open up and it'll allow the district to operate at the pressures they are right now. So it'll never go to zero. Like and none of the users up there will turn on the faucet one day and there's nothing. It'll just might be a lower pressure until you can go out there and fix what the issue is. But it's sized so that these are totally redundant pumps. So Eagle makes you design pump stations assuming your largest pump is out of service for either maintenance or it's broken down. So if one of these fails, this pump will automatically kick on and be able to supply the full pressure and flow that's needed in that district. That makes sense.
Yeah. These stations have their own emergency power source.
Yep. You can see down in here, there's a standby. That's also a requirement from the state. You either have to have 2 power supplies, like separate substation supplies, or a standby generator that kicks on automatically. So if you ever lost power to the station, because there's only a single source out there, this generator is automatically controlled to switch on. Within 10 seconds, these pumps will be back on in service. And you'd be able to see them still at the plant. Like you wouldn't lose the monitoring at the plant that if you lost power out there.
Mark, I got a question.
Yeah.
In that first schematic, you had the northern line. You said it was going to take care of the industrial district.
This one right here?
No, the northern. Go back.
Oh, one more?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah, that one.
Yep.
So if that's going to take care of the industrial district, including Magna, right?
Well, so this is like, this was only half. So right now you have a water main that comes up range, and then you have a water main that crosses Jordan Creek right here. And that's 2 feeds to this point right here. And so from there, that's what, Ketchum Road. It runs up range, and then it comes through here. Is that Jordan? It's Haas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Crispy hot.
So that is a single line that goes up to Magna. So what this does is it gets you 2 lines up to that intersection. And then this next project starts at that intersection and then continues up range all the way to Yankee. So then you have 2 lines all the way up there. Because you'll still only have.
So once you complete the second project, it's going to ease off on the first quite a bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't say so much ease off, but it just supplies 2 feeds always, all the way from the plant to Magna. So it wouldn't matter where a water main break happened in the system. You'd always be able to isolate it and still supply those industrial users all the way to that northern end of the system.
John, one of the advantages of having that redundant system or that closed loop system is that it balances pressures. So if Magna were to have, and Dana and Aria and anybody in the industrial park, if they were full bore running all the water, the folks up in St. Clair Township would lose pressure in their homes. That booster station and those redundant lines allow so pressure's maintained even within the homes in St. Clair Township.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I always use the analogy, like you're sucking on a straw. If you have 1 straw, you have to suck a lot harder to get a certain amount of water. But then if you put 2 straws and have the same amount of pressure, it's twice the amount of water.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I'll send Quentin a copy of this PowerPoint if anyone wants to reference that. But yeah, and feel free, I don't know if any question, you guys have any questions, Quentin has my contact. You can email me anytime and I can get back to you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Safe travels home, Mark.
Yes.
I know you're going back to Grand Rapids tonight.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks for coming.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
I like your timelines. I can't wait to see you stick to them.
I'd love to. If I can force them to stick to them. The nice thing is these dates are hard and fast in the spec, so there's penalties if the contractor can't meet those dates, if that makes sense. So we do that to try to keep it from just dragging on. I mean, I'm sure you guys have experienced that on some city projects.
No, we never have any problems at all. Thank you, Mark. Have a safe drive. All right, we'll go to ordinance and resolution number 6A, ordinance adoption 2024-01. Cats. Mr. Downey.
Your Honor, members of council, before you is a second reading of an ordinance amendment to the animal control ordinance that we originally began in October. In fact, it was introduced in October, but later determined to be insufficient for a variety of reasons. Administration really went back to the drawing board, consulted with some, I know Quentin spoke with some city managers in similar situations. I spoke with city attorneys about ordinances that they had on the books. We spoke with Sandra Kilby, and she addressed council in a special meeting. So this is simply the adoption or the second reading of that, the product, that new ordinance that was introduced earlier this month.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll support.
All right, the motion is made, support. Questions? Call the roll, please.
Statler?
Yes.
Kupa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Bolt?
Yes.
Watt?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Ordinance adopted.
Thank you.
Would like to make just a special thank you to Sandra Kilby from SNAP. She was instrumental in helping us navigate this and giving us clear sight into the significance of updating this amendment. So she couldn't be here tonight. She actually has a family member who's not well, but to publicly acknowledge Sandra Kilby for her efforts was, I think, is appropriate.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, we'll go to B, ordinance adoption 2024 to pool rooms. Downey.
Your Honor, likewise, this is a second reading of an ordinance introduced earlier this month. It was a revision to the pool rooms ordinance that was observed by Mr. Skirto, the city's planner. And the issue that he identified was that the licensing of pool rooms didn't distinguish between pool rooms that were actually businesses versus a business that would have a pool table as an ancillary aspect of the facility. So this ordinance addresses that issue, and tonight it's ready for adoption if the council so chooses.
Make a motion to approve.
Support.
Questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Kupa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Bolt?
Yes.
Watt?
Yes.
Statler?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Ordinance adopted.
Thank you. C, ordinance introduction 2024-3, International Property Maintenance Code, IMPC update.
Your Honor, part of the city code, particularly with respect to building and code enforcement, is the adoption of the International Property Maintenance Code. I believe that's been on the books here in St. Clair for decades. However, from time to time, the authorities that put the code together update it. And when those updates occur, it's incumbent on the city to reference the most recent iteration of the International Property Maintenance Code. Mr. Boulier just contacted me recently to advise that there's now a 2024 version of the International Property Maintenance Code. So what this ordinance will do is swap out the most recent version, which I think is 2013, and make it 2024. So that's ready for introduction tonight and for adoption next month if you so wish.
So moved.
Supported.
Questions? Call the roll, please.
Laporte?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Bolt?
Yes.
Watt?
Yes.
Statler?
Yes.
Kupa?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Ordinance introduced.
D is Resolution 24 to approve poverty exemption policy and guidelines.
From Justin Sears to Mayor and Council, Bulletin 22 of 2023 regarding the property exemptions issued by the State Tax Commission reminds assessors that Section 211.7U of the Michigan General Property Tax Act requires townships and cities to annually adopt a policy and guidelines to be used for property exemptions. The copy of these policies and guidelines for taxpayers requesting tax relief is available to the public upon request. All documents before you have been updated to comply with Michigan Common Law 211.7U, City of St. Clair's Code of Ordinance, and the State Tax Commission's recommendations. This is an annual adoption of guidelines for property exemptions. And as you see, I could read the entire resolution, but it is something that is passed on an annual basis, noticed by the county and recognized by the city.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Questions? Call the roll, please.
Hall,
Yes.
Foltz,
Yes.
Platt,
Yes.
Statler,
Yes.
Kufa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes.
Cedar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Thank you. Board number 7, reports administration. Mr. Bishop, what do you have?
I have 4 things tonight. First thing I'd like to talk about is the Cox Road Sidewalk Project. I had mentioned before that we were unsuccessful in obtaining a grant, and I had called SEMCOG and spoke with our representative. And I'm very happy to report that after a little bit of lobbying effort and some assurances by SEMCOG, our project is back on the table. And they are looking at it, reviewing it. I've called the actual grant committee chairperson. We had talked through the topic, what it entails, where our points are high, where we lack in other things, our attempts in the past to try to get this back on the table. And, you know, you never bet. It's not a sure thing, but it is back on the table and under review. So in terms of that project moving forward, I'm putting it back in the possible category. The deal is not dead, and we're going to continue to lobby SEMCOG and to prove our point, and our project is worthy. I want to give you an update on that. I'm a fierce believer in giving credit where credit is due and to recognizing those professionals who go above and beyond just their call of duty and what they do day to day. Professional development, trading, certification is an incredible, incredible task, especially when you're doing things like doing your job every day. And I would like to take this moment and to honor Annette Sturdy. And through the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, she has received an MMC certification, the Masters of Municipal Clerk certification. This is a big deal in the world of municipal clerks. This is nothing short of amazing, considering that as of July of 2023, there was only 59 clerks in the state of Michigan with this designation, and now we can say that the city of St. Clair and our city clerk makes number 60. So it is a big deal. It should be recognized. And I just want to take this moment and publicly recognize Annette for her hard work and dedication.
Quentin?
Sir.
Can I add something to that? Have a problem, you can't get it resolved, you go and see Annette. I had an issue with a tree on my corner that was falling and being a safety hazard. I've seen her 3 times. The first time I saw her, she had somebody there in the afternoon. The next day, they came and started sawing it down. What was it? The next day or the day after, very close. So she gets things done. Thank you for that.
Yep. Customer services. That's good. Yeah. Would like to also talk about road preservation. We had talked about this topic. It has not been forgotten. Councilman Bowles, it did not fall on deaf ears. I've reached out to County Road Commission and the County Road Commissioner, being Bill Hazelton. We spoke at length. And I said, what do you do? How do you preserve the road through microsurfacing, chip sealing, cape sealings? What do you do? How do you use it? And then more specifically, how do you do it in an urban environment where we have curbs, gutters, driveways? We are working through those things right now. There has been a couple products, some more cumbersome than others, okay? But we have not forgotten about it. My very next call is to Stuart in Imlay City. He owns and runs a company. who does this, and that's all that they do. And so it is back. It is there on the table. It's actually never left the table. I'm not going to say back on the table. It was always on the table. Maybe it was just a little quiet, but we're on it.
Thank you.
We're absolutely on it. Speaking about road preservation, the 2024 maintenance plan has been created. There will be 28 separate sections of road that will receive crack sealing here in the next spring. Included in that is the intersection of 3rd and Adams, where they had concrete poured, and those cuts will be filled in with crack seal. In addition to that, we'll be going as far back as anything done in wards 1, 2, and 3 that need crack sealing or they're showing signs of wear and tear. Those will be crack sealed as well. We have 28 roads scheduled to be happening in the spring. Okay. Last but not least, we don't receive a lot of calls with people saying, the city, you did a great job. Thank you so much for what you do and how you do it. We do not receive a lot of those types of calls. But we did receive one in particular, and I just want to mention that Mrs. Reeves received, as she put it on her message, exceptional service. She uses the senior van, and the weather was poor. And the driver not only picked her up, took her to her appointment, waited outside, got out of the vehicle, helped her into the store, waited patiently for her prescription to be filled, got back in, asked the appropriate question, do you need any more help? Is there anything else I can do? Got her to her front step and walked her in. That is not in any job description. It's not. So that type of customer service is just something that's part of the culture. It's not something that you had to ask somebody to do. It's a phenomenal show of customer service. And on behalf of the drivers of the senior van, kudos to them. And if Ms. Reeves does get this report, thank you very much for spreading that good word. And that is all I have this evening.
Any questions for Mr. Bishop? Mr. Downey, you have anything tonight?
Nothing this evening, Your
Any
Honor.
questions for Mr. Downey? Any city departments?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yep.
Election report. We are gearing up for the presidential primary, which is February 27th. Early voting notices were sent to each household that had a registered voter. It detailed the new early voting option. For the February 27th presidential primary, residents can now participate in early voting from Saturday, February 17th through Sunday, February 25th, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. here at City Hall. All wards vote in the same location for early voting, but there's no change to Election Day, so everyone still goes to their polling location for their specific ward. Absentee ballots are still an option and will remain an option. To date, we've received 507 requests for ballots using that option. For more information, as always, go to michigan.gov/vote. That's it.
Thank you. The authority board, commissions, committee chairs, council reps, anybody have anything?
Could I just ask Mr. Quinton a question? You moved a little too fast for me. When you were talking about Cox Road and if we were to receive that grant, let's say it was like March we were notified, would that be some time, is there a timeline there where we could create that or have that sidewalk work completed before next fall?
Yes, for the 25, that was part of our application.
Okay.
Is to have it done before that school year starts and the consolidation occurs.
Okay. So is there anything we can be doing now that if that's approved, we're ready to roll, or if it's not, we are ready to roll in a different way? Are we?
I've not taken the step to say what is Plan B if SEMCOG does not come up with the funds. We have a funding source, but it does not cover. We're about, all in. We're about, I'm going to call it a third of the way there. We still have another 60% of the project to go.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have no unfinished business. Number 8, go to number 9, new business. Approve AEW Professional Services Proposal Construction Observation Inspection Services, Oakwood, Jackson, Hugo. Mr. Bishop.
I was asked to go back. You saw this last meeting. You asked me to go back with AEW and have them sharpen their pencil on the professional services. The professional services proposal you have in front of you is a reduction of $12,000 off the pricing. You would ask, well, what do we lose? Right? And not out of the goodness of the heart. Well, how it works is this, and I talked to Ryan about this. The first thing is the staking of the actual property. That's part of the layout before the project goes in. You're going to stake the ground. You don't have to send a senior level engineer to do the staking work. So there's a different price point for somebody else they can send to do that work. That's the first thing. The second thing, I think that, and that's a very minimal cost if you ask me, the real savings is that historically that the projects are bid, proposals are made from AEW, construction happens, project is complete, and then we figure out what is the true cost. And historically, we are overestimating the cost of the project. For example, Kearney Drive came back, we had a refund on the project because it was overestimated what it would cost. So he's rolling the dice, so to speak, and saying, historically, because we know we come in a little bit high, we're just going to have a more accurate, more truer cost of the projects. And so he refigured it without any type of buffer in there, and that's the reduction of $12,000. Okay, so it brings it to $91,000 as opposed to the 103. Same proposal, same scope of work, same roles and responsibilities.
So then if we come in high, do we owe them an extra percentage? Because is it going to be 11.5% or is it going to be 11% of 91? Does that make sense?
No, but right. We do. That would be true for any project. If it's over and above the estimated cost, we would owe them on any project we would do. So that would remain the same.
Perfect. Thank you.
Ask for a motion to approve the proposal.
So moved.
Or any questions on the motion being made and supported? All right, call the roll, please.
Folds,
Yes.
Watt,
Yes.
Gatler,
Yes.
Kufa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes. Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Peter.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. E, approve waste management multi-year contract.
I want to bring this back to the table as well. After our first discussion, I have reached out to councilmen individually, answering individual questions. If there's any other questions that have come up, I'm more than happy to answer them. The big rocks were this: what happens with yard waste if there's too much to fit in the container? Just like anything else, they will be picking up those trash bags, yard waste, clippings, things like that. They understand that every municipality has those types of days, and we're a seasonal state, and they will be collecting, no interruption of service. 96 gallons, the cart we placed in the hallway so people could walk in. They could see the size of the cart that they would have to handle. There is a 64-gallon option as well, and then residents can request one of those. We had a question about recycling, 1 week versus 2 weeks. The standard now, most companies, and I'm about to go over the other quote that I received, they are going to a 2-week recycling run. And the reason is recycling is not as popular as it once was. So the extra runs for the limited amount of recycling that they are picking up, they're trying to save costs. That's what they're moving to a twice a month pickup as opposed to once a week. Okay, the opting out. What if not opting out, but what if one breaks? What if one just gets hit by a bus? What if my kids want to play in it and they break it? What happens? It's replaced. Now, if it's done by malfeasance or if there's something that happens because we cause it, that's going to be on the homeowner, right? But if it's wear and tear and there's wind and everything else and the lid blows off and breaks, Waste Management is replacing those carts, okay? And just to know, this type of new service wouldn't be taking effect until probably a whole nother year from now. Here was the other question.
So how would you replace it? If something happened like that, would people come to the city? Will we stop the guy when he comes by?
No, there's numbers on the cart. Call this number. They call Waste Management. What's your address? What city do you have a municipal contract? Yes, we do. Sir, Mr. Watt, we're gonna have a cart dropped off at your home.
Gotcha.
Okay, one of those things. Okay, there was a little bit of hesitation on a multi-year, a long-term 5-year deal. So we started calling around. We have another quote that I received, let me just bring this up, from a competitor, and without giving them numbers, just saying this is what it looks like. Yard waste, rubbish, recycling, rollaway carts or non-rollaway carts, single year or multi-year deal. Can you please give us some information about that? Their first year quote was just under the amount of the third year that Waste Management is putting forward. Okay, their fifth year is almost $1.32 more in their fifth year than what Waste Management's is in their fifth year. The other company that I called, and they are a waste management company that works in the surrounding area. And the first question they asked me was, "So you're going for renewal?" I said, "Yes." They said, "What's your percentage markup?" And they said, before I could answer, they said, anything less than 25%, you need to go for it. I thought that was very honest of them to say that. And I said, well, what if I told you that the first year was 14% and then after that was 6%? They said, I'm not quoting. I'm not going to put a number to this. I sent them the information anyway. They said they'd have something back to me today just to see if they wanted to get in the game. They could not pencil a number in to make it work. They did not send it. Okay? So my recommendation is that we do renew with Waste Management. I do believe we have a solid rate. I do believe that we have a multi-year rate that's going to put us in a great position. And I do believe that they have enough tools and resources to adjust to the needs of our community members, size of carts, those types of things.
Thank you for the legwork. Appreciate that.
Welcome.
I'll make a motion to approve. Or
Questions? Yes, sir.
Claim at 1374 South Riverside. What about objects that won't fit in the cart?
They can be placed on the side. Large bulk items can be placed on the side as well.
And what about, say, by chance you got too much that week for the cart? Just put
Yep, same question. That was Mr. Watt's question when he asked 2 weeks ago. It can be placed by the cart, and then they will know to pick it up. What they did say was that they also take records of this. Inside of their cab, they have tablets, and they make records of who puts out these bulk items and how often does it happen. If it becomes a regular thing, that's usually suspected that somebody from out of the city is participating in our trash program, right? That doesn't need to be, and they'll make calls, they'll notify us, and then we make the necessary, we take the inquiry is the word. Thank you. Yes.
All right, so don't fit in the cart, put it by the curb.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Call the roll.
Watt,
Yes.
Gottler,
Yes.
Lupa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Folds,
yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. See approved purchase of Dodge Durango for St. Clair PD. Chief?
Mayor, Council, I'm requesting the purchase of a new car. As you know, we went from every year to every other year, and then COVID hit, and then the chips hit, and then our last car was 13 months for delivery, and the one before that was 8. So I've been calling around since June to find police cars. LaFontaine in June only had the state bid for Fords, and they had F-150s, and I don't need another pickup truck. But they called me several weeks ago, and they have the state bid for all makes now out of their Lansing dealership that has the state bid. And they have, the large agency bought 6 Dodge Durangos, only picked up 4. So they have 2 on the lot. So I can get this thing by Friday. So I'm just asking for permission to get it. I know we use Signature Ford ever since I've been chief and before, but since a local dealership now has a state bid, I suggest we use LaFontaine. $42,000, I have the money in my capital improvements for this year because this was the year we're supposed to buy it, so.
That's got the V8 in it, not the V6.
That,
The state's on the standard V6.
you got,
That's the upgrade.
Well, there's another page that shows it listed with a 5.7 Hemi.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Front page.
yeah,
front page.
I could get the V6 if I
Yeah,
ordered
right.
it.
What's that?
I think the V6 was if I ordered one.
Okay. So
The
V8 was an
the
upgrade?
ones on the lot are, and that's why they had to go 42, because that agency bought it with that
The
stuff
V8s.
on it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll support.
All right, motion made, support, question.
And that'll be replacing a 2016 that has 119,000 miles and 23,000 hours on the engine, so
What will we do with that vehicle, chief?
we're gonna take what we can off it to upfit the new one, and it either another department can use it, or we'll sell it on the My Deal.
Call roll, please.
Gottler,
Yes.
Lupa,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Folds,
Yes.
Watt,
Yes.
Cedar.
Yep.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Be a special event, St. Clair Chamber Rockland Plaza, chief.
Yeah, at first I never would have thought that buying a car would be the hardest thing as a police chief to do, but it's been crazy since COVID. Yeah, I have a request from Chamber for their annual Rockin' in the Plaza summer concerts. They'll start May 23rd, go through September 1st. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays to 7 p. to 12 a. and Sundays 2 to 6 p.m.
So moved.
Support.
Question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, chief.
And Icy Bazaar was awesome.
Number 10 is claims and accounts, January 11 and 18, 2024.
Hearing no questions, Your Honor, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Support.
Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 11 is public comment and questions. Anybody have anything non-agenda? 3 minutes, please. If you have anything you want to come up to here and talk about? Okay, we'll go to number 11, or 12, sorry. Mayor and council, I was just going to reiterate with the chief, Icy Bazaar was amazing. The fireworks, oh my gosh. I don't know who does our 4th of July, but a lot of pressure, buddy.
What are you looking at me for?
I'm just saying, man, it was unreal. A lot of good compliments. Go Lions, can I say that right now? Okay, go Lions. Anybody else got anything? I'm gonna go to number 12 and ask for a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of discussing a confidential attorney-client legal opinion and to consider a periodic personal evaluation of city superintendent.
I'll make that motion.
Supported. Motion made, supported. Questions? Call the roll, please.
Lupa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
Platt?
Yes.
Stotler?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We're gonna do it right here, so I'll just ask people if you want to go to the lobby, we'll come and get you. We may take action when we come back out of closed session.